here.
Well, you look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm feeling good tonight. Finally feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Wanna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a picture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carpet nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Yeah. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now.
There we go. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
All right. I got too many windows open. There.
If I had a nickel.
I know. There we go. Well, I'm not like I can never open as many tabs as Marty. He has like the whole top of his computer is just microscopic tabs. So
Yep. That's how I am right now.
oh my god. As the computer person, when people come, my computer's running slow. And it's like, well, you have 600 files on your desktop and you have 100 tabs open. That's why. So how you been?
Not too bad.
Mando
Been a week.
trailer?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So I have to say straight from the I rewatched I think I've rewatched this first 4 episodes of Mandalorian over and over again. Like just I don't know why. They I think it's those 4 just get me pumped. And then when I go to watch the second half, I'll watch them, but then I always just go I'm just going to start it over again and start it over again. And I watched those, especially those first 2, and then I remember hearing all this when and I'm not knocking Andor, but I hear all these people complaining, well, Mandalorian sucked so much, the Andor made the scene so much better, and you know what I mean, like the volume was like the world's best thing until Andor came out.
Yeah, it was the best thing until it wasn't.
Yeah, but I'm watching that and I'm like it's both of them are remarkable, and neither it takes away from either of them to me.
Right.
Like I'm watching them on the planet with the Ugnaught, and I'm like, really? Like that's better than any special effects in most movies, even today.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And
For some reason, people just like to point things out, just
Yeah.
and nitpick the small things. But I mean, you can't tell me that if they hadn't said that was filmed in the volume, you would have thought it was a real. You thought it was filmed on location.
Yep. So I don't know. I just watched it again, and the storytelling, and I think what reminded me of it was the storytelling in Bad Batch. It's the same style, like Filoni, where they tell you stuff ahead of time, but there's no exposition.
Mm-hmm.
Like we learned a whole bunch about Beskar just by the dude running his knife down his armor. Like he tried to scratch his armor. So we were like, what? And because you had never really heard Beskar talked about at any length,
Right.
And then like we learned he didn't take his helmet off just from his ride with his prisoner.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally rewatched the first 4 episodes yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's still fresh in my mind. Yeah, they do a great job of giving you information without beating you over the head with it.
Right. Like, and then when he shot the Transocean at the beginning, was that episode 2? That made him blowing the Jawas up. You know what I mean? Like they show you something so they don't have to say, well, this gun They don't have to Star Trek it out for you. Like this gun will destroy humans.
Right.
So I don't know. That storytelling, and the Bad Batch again. You see it in the Bad Batch where they're showing you the clones being slowly like treated like crap without just making a whole point of it.
Right.
And I rethought some of my thoughts on that. Not this newest clone or Bad Batch, but I think Crosshair might have shot that president or whatever to save Cody.
Yeah.
Because I think he knew Cody wasn't going to do it, and he knew what would have happened if Cody wouldn't have done it.
Right. Yeah, I'm very curious to see because I'm surprised that they put that episode at the very beginning of the season and not somewhere towards the middle, because they're going to make us wait until the end of the season to pull that thread.
Yeah. I'd like to know how many seasons they have planned, because who knows?
It's got to be at least one or two more.
Yeah, I was thinking. Unless they just do seasons like the old Clone Wars where you do a whole bunch.
That's true.
Or just not have a season, just run them. Just have one every other week.
Wouldn't that just be the dream?
Yeah. Well, I wonder what our conversation, if we could have had this podcast 6 years ago, and we would have dreamt about the day of a Star Wars channel.
Right.
I started watching Willow, and I'm liking that too. I was late to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're talking about shows we've started that aren't Star Wars,
yeah,
I started Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Is that good?
It's excellent.
Okay.
Believe it or not. So I don't even remember what sparked it. Or I watched Galaxy Quest. I don't know if we've ever talked about Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah. Before. I love Galaxy Quest. That's my favorite Star Trek show.
But I watched a clip of it on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, well, I should just go back and watch the whole thing. And that spiraled into, well, I haven't seen the J.J. Abrams Star Trek in a while. So I watched all three of those. And I'm like, I'm still kind of in a Star Trek kick. So then I started Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I like the JJ's. I liked his Star Trek. I like the old original Star Trek. I wasn't a super big fan of Next Generation. And I think that might have also just been me as an angry Star Wars fan, that I wasn't getting new Star Wars while everyone was getting new Star Trek.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the Star Trek movies, other than I liked Wrath of Khan and was it The Journey Home or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I like those two, but I wasn't really a fan of most of the other ones.
Truthfully, I have only seen the motion picture and the Wrath of Khan.
And even Wrath of Khan, again, it comes back to, I swing it back to Star Wars. I think Star Trek didn't handle their aged stars well.
Yeah.
Like they had 70-year-old Shatner running around doing what 30-year-old Shatner did.
Right.
And it's fine, I guess, on television. I guess that's just television in general or movies. But it kind of took you out of it, because it was similar to Galaxy's Quest. They kind of even made fun of that, where you could believe William Shatner doing all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about Strange New Worlds is it so feels like the original series.
Now, who's the captain in that?
Pike.
I met him at Steel City.
Really?
He's the guy from the Western, from Hell on Wheels.
Really?
Right? He's a gray-haired kind of guy.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he did a show called Hell on Wheels, I believe. It was a television show, a Western. Probably one of my favorite Westerns of all times.
Anson Mount?
Yeah, that's him.
Yep.
He's a humongous person.
He doesn't look that big.
I know. And I met him. I was like, holy crap. I felt like Smurf. Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a nice guy. I mean, I just like, hey, I saw him at the bar at Steel City. So
I don't know how that always happens to you.
Well, I sit in the lobby. So there's a guy, Skippy, we used to hang out with, and we would play Magic literally from when the con stopped till 2 a.m.
Mm,
So, and in between, we just go sit, and I don't drink. So I'm looking around because if you don't drink, it's like a bar is kind of nothing but people watching. And
right.
the Ohio people, they're even better at it. The Ohio people wind up like hanging with them, like the woman who does Phasma and her husband. Like I'm like, oh, there's so and so. Oh, wait a minute, they're sitting with the, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they really, and Toga, of course.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but if you look at the old Steel City pictures back from before I went, before 2000, I think I started 2012 ish. They used to go to dinner with the Star Wars guys.
Hmm.
Like it was just like, even because it was just the pop culture hadn't really struck then. Like people didn't really understand what was out there,
Right.
because now everybody's like, look, I was it's not even pop culture now. It's just like I was
Yeah.
I was a weatherman on whatever. That's soon we're going to see the old NBC Today show, because you'll have some of these people they're like, well, I could go work for so and so, or if I just go sit at a table. You're telling me if I sit at a table for a weekend, I can walk out with handfuls of cash?
You have to back up the Brinks truck as you're leaving.
Yeah. So it's just a different world. So, but yeah, I like the
Yeah.
trailer. I mean, we gotta wait till Ken gets here to get the details of it, um, but I some people were saying, I was listening to a couple podcasts, and they were like, "Oh, why does he want to go to?" They were worried he was going back to the cult of always wearing your helmet and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone who likes superhero movies and all that, and you might be the same way, I always hate that you get a really cool superhero and they never wear their costume.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he wears it in the first 5 minutes and he's never in it again. So I'm happy that they want to keep him in his Mando costume.
Yeah, I agree. Part of me is like, okay, well, I like Pedro Pascal, and I think it'd be cool to get like a little FaceTime.
Yeah,
However, like you said, what good is it building up this character for essentially 2.5 seasons just to have this whole adage of you can never take your helmet off, just for him to start taking his helmet off every day.
right. And
So
that's what worries me. Like, you'll see him, and even as a parent of a kid who wears a Mandalorian costume, it used to drive me nuts when Zoe wouldn't wear a helmet. Like, I was happy she had her wig, and I'm, and I, as a teenage girl, I didn't want to have her like, don't show your face, But I was like, I spent a month painting that helmet. Wear the helmet for at least every other picture or something, you know. So, yeah, I just, I think the other thing with him wearing the helmet is, I think there's just more they can do with him. Just because you can have stuntmen do it, you can have, you know. I would love to know the percentage of time that each character is in the suit.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be at least 80% Brendan Wayne, right?
I think so. I think because he gets called a stuntman, I think he gets confused with other people. But I think he is like the bot. He's like the Andy Serkis of cool Western strutting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and then Pedro has that other. He just has that new zombie movie or show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch that?
I haven't yet.
I don't know the game, but the show. I don't know if you watched The Walking Dead.
Mm.
Better than The Walking Dead.
Really?
I think so. And I don't know anything about the game.
Yeah. I've always been a PlayStation guy, but I never played The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I know I got the smallest, base level of information. But it was one of those things where it's like, it's Pedro Pascal, it's the girl from Game of Thrones. I'll give it a shot eventually, but I don't think I'll be like a weekly subscriber to it. I think I might just watch it in chunks.
It was good. I mean, it was very reminiscent of the first episode of The Walking Dead. Like The Walking Dead, I knew the comic book more than I knew the game. So I was a little more surprised, but I just had the feel of it. I always like a show that it ends when I'm not expecting it. That means I'm really enjoying it.
Mhm.
You know, there's some of those shows when you're like looking like, oh, how long has this been on? You know, so
Yeah. Well,
like
see,
Bad Batch.
I'll do that with the Star Wars shows. However, I'm not like, oh, how long has this been on? It's like, how do I only have 5 minutes left?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Well, and you worry about Star Wars shows because there's like 10 minutes of credits. You're like, they got to solve. It's like, oh, I got to watch the 45 minutes of credits at the end.
Right.
But no, it was worth the watch. I mean, you know, I'm still his work in Mando. I love, um, but yeah, it's and then seeing Bo-Katan's ship, like that window shot out the ship, which I
Mhm.
knew it was from before because I think that's was used in the other one, but you didn't see it quite as long, or I just didn't notice it before, or something like that.
Yeah. It was barely in the last episode of season 2.
Yeah.
It was like maybe half a second.
So I'm curious how that whole thing's going to play out, and I hope they bring Sabine in. I just
Yeah, I genuinely think this season. I don't want to. I want to wait for Ken to get my whole
I know.
thought process
Come
out.
on, Ken. Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's yeah. But yeah, I don't. I just think it's just that show just makes me so happy. Like just rewatching it made me happy. Um, the the guy who plays the Moff that he's buying I forget his name now. Herzog.
Oh,
Who's the
Werner
guy?
Herzog, the
I
client.
love
Yeah.
his acting. I just love him being he's like that creepy, like he's like he's almost like the bad guy who thinks he's really a good guy doing everyone a
Mhm.
favor, but he's really
Yeah.
like a terrible person. Um, so yeah, that's I really like that. I like when he gives Grogu up though, man, that's still hard for me to watch.
Mhm.
It's I still it is just hard for me to stay on that.
Yeah. No, I get that. Granted, you always go back to the first 4 episodes of season 1
Yeah.
is the same way I always go back to the last 3 episodes of season 2.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a mix of Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, and Migs Mayfeld are the 3 things that always keeps me going back to those 3 episodes.
Well, I would say in season 2, as much as I really enjoy when he first meets Bo-Katan, like when they throw Grogu in that water tank and that whole deal,
Mhm.
the Mayfeld one seems to be the one I watch a lot. The
The
Mayfeld and him in the tank.
Oh, yeah.
I like that one. I think, that's a really that one leads into Andor.
Mhm.
Like that's almost like you had the whole Mando episodes in Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
Mayfeld's laid the groundwork for like everyone's like, oh, I can't believe how terrible the Empire is. If you listen to Mayfeld's speech, he told everyone, especially when he was talking to that, he laid it all out right there too.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
so
I love those last 2 episodes just because I love how intertwined they are. As much as I love the sporadic adventures,
yeah.
the first 3 episodes of season 1 and the last 3 episodes of season 2, how they're just this one connective tissue in and
Well,
of themselves.
just like I can't watch when he gives Grogu up, I hate watching when Luke takes Grogu.
Yeah.
Because that happened when both my kids were going off to college. It just, that breaks my heart too.
Ironically, that one the episode where he gives Grogu up is my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's just
Not because of that, but because it was nice seeing Boba Fett back in action.
yeah.
And I just the set piece in itself was fantastic as well.
Well, and that episode is the episode that I ordered the Razor Crest and the Lego rifle the same day that episode came out.
Whoops.
So, I was like, oh, great. So, yeah, that was I still wish he would, as needed as it is to see the Naboo fighter, I still wish he had the Razor Crest back.
Yeah. However, honestly, I don't think we're gonna have the Naboo starfighter for much longer.
You don't think?
Nope.
I think he needs a bigger ship. I mean, because it doesn't seem like he's a base of operations kind of guy.
Right. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up with a Fang fighter at the end of this season.
I was thinking more of like a bigger ship that the Naboo fighter could fit in.
Maybe
Like
it ends up like Han Solo and
like a Ghost or something along those lines. But here we go. We got Ken coming in.
Oh, finally.
We were trying to not talk about anything important until you got here, Ken.
It's been one heck of a Monday, man.
Monday?
I hate to break it to you, Chief. You're 2 days behind.
Yeah, that's my point.
I know. Well, I'm with you on that, but for some reason I have this stupid amount of energy that is probably going to hit me at like 11 o'clock. I'm going to feel like I'm 100. No, because on a sadder note, there are two people I know that are at least 10 to 20 years younger than me this week that have had strokes.
What?
I know of one that's had one recently.
Yeah. Is he a Mando Merc?
Yes.
Yes, and he's 20 years younger than me.
Yeah, we hung out with him at Fan Fest in Philadelphia.
And then there's another gentleman. I don't want to tell everyone's business, but there's another guy that I know that's in one of the groups that had one too.
Well, there's actually there's two in the Mercs that I know of, and it is really frightening and sad. You're right.
I just hit 55, so I'm like, the only plus side to it is I looked at my paperwork and if you're 55 or over, I don't have to take any more courses to keep my job.
Nice.
If you're working in the county for 25 years or 55 or older, so I got to turn my paperwork in today. I was like, hey, I don't have to take a nonsensical course anymore.
Do you get senior discounts at movie theaters and stuff?
Do you get that at 55?
65.
Oh man,
10 years. Then you can save
55 is like the new 65.
10 cents.
Yeah, that's what young people say. I don't hear old people saying that. Though my favorite line about that was, "Do you ever watch 30 Rock?"
Occasionally, didn't see too many.
One
episodes.
time, Alec Baldwin's character was talking to I forget the main character, and he said, "Yes, 65 is the new 35." And she said something like, "Well, I'm only like 35." He said, "No, Lemon, 35 still 35 for women." which mildly unrelated. Other than Star Wars, if you watch some other movies and TV franchises, you can be a 75-year-old man and have the 30-year-old female lead. And you have to give Lucasfilm credit where you have Boba Fett and what's her face? They're pretty much the same age.
Ming-Hua.
Yeah, Ming-Hua. You know what I mean? Like you have to
Or
give.
not.
And the woman who plays Bo-Katan is older too. You know what I mean? Like, so. He's checking the age, aren't you? Ken's
No, I was just checking her name, actually.
I thought Ken was
Ming-Na
checking ages. I can see the Ken. You do need the tech glasses.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I was thinking was I had I figured we do a Mando episode today because the trailer dropped, and I mean, we could talk other things too. But
Well,
I
I got
thought
the right
Mando.
shirt for it then. I got the
Yeah.
right mug for it. I didn't even know. You should have
Yeah,
told me.
I'm sorry, I have my 3PO. I've been on. I saw 2 protocol droids in Bad Batch today, so it made me love my protocol droids even more. So
I got myself on today.
oh, there you go. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw protocol droids today.
Yeah,
However,
driving those racers.
Are we not going to talk about the other droids we saw on Monday?
The ones in the bar.
The return of the B1 battle droid.
Oh yeah.
Ken's here. We can talk about the Mando trailer. Right?
Okay, let's talk about the Mando trailer.
Put it out there.
First thing, Mando trailer. What's your initial thoughts, Ken?
I'm just overwhelmed by all the goodies that they have in store for us. I mean,
we have
there was 6 or was it more than that different Mandalorians that we saw in that trailer.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
It was at least 7.
And then they had was it R4 as his pilot?
I thought it was R5.
I mean R5 as his protocol droid, which that that droid is I can't imagine that has the best nav computer on, because that thing was a piece of crap 30 50 years sooner before that or whatever. So yeah, I'm so happy with the trailer. Grogu kicking ass.
Yeah, and he's not falling asleep either.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's like, gotta get over that. The flashback scenes.
I can't do it again. I can't do Order 66 again.
Gonna have to.
Oh man, it's. I wonder if they just if one day they were sitting there and like, hey, we don't have anything to do. They're like, okay, just film us like 2 hours of Order 66 and we'll use it up. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like that jar of something in your refrigerator that you just have to include with every meal so you don't waste it.
It's the hot sauce.
Yeah.
I can have it with eggs and potatoes.
Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. So I mean, eventually there's going to have to be, well, I guess the new show coming out with Jude Law as Order 66. That's going to have Order 66 stuff in it.
Oh no.
So, it's going to be like we'll have a tour shirt and the front will say Order 66 and on the back it'll just have every show that has a scene,
every episode. So one of the questions I have for the Disney trailers when they put them out, so they show little bits. So how much of the season are contained in those little bits? Typically, it's only the first couple episodes, but there was one show, I don't remember which one it was, maybe it was Andor, where there was stuff that was scattered throughout it had to be, I think it was Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if Andor was because Andor was so delayed. You know what I mean? Like they started it and it seemed like they had a longer span of time filming it. That they just had more stuff to give them. Where some of these shows are like, they're like butt up against, look, we just finished it. We want to, bang this out. And I also wonder, because they got burnt on Rogue One, if they still do trailers like they did in the past. Like pre-Rogue One, at least from what I read, companies would just give some footage to out of house studio and say, here, make a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if Rogue One changed that because of the scenes they didn't appear in the movie and stuff. And now don't they have a law, or they try to make a law that if you don't like a movie, you can sue if the trailer's lying?
If the trailer's different than the movie.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I want my money back. I think I bought like five versions of tickets to see Rogue One.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious.
80% of that first trailer wasn't even in the movie.
Right.
Well, again, if you look closely at the Toys R Us poster that was released, and the drawing of Ray, because the or not Ray, the drawing of Jin looks very much like the actress that plays She-Hulk. And when that movie was being cast, she was one of the people they were thinking about.
Well, I thought there was a poster for Rogue One that had a totally different character in it.
Oh,
not just Jin, but I thought there was another alien or a droid, and I saw it at a convention once, and unfortunately, I looked at it, I pointed it out to Heather, put it back, and then went back to that same booth later on. Couldn't find the poster ever again. So I don't know if it was like a figment of my imagination or what. But Heather remembers the poster too, but we couldn't remember which one of the sequel movies, the Disney era movies that the poster was from.
See, I'm sure I had to say it here before. My favorite trailers were the original Batman movie trailers. That they showed you absolutely nothing. I think they showed the Batmobile coming over a hill, the bat symbol, and the Joker laughing. They were so like they would not show you Batman in a suit, because until you saw the movie, if you saw some of those Michael Keaton shots of him standing in a suit, it looked a little silly. Until you saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And at the comic book stores, like, you would get stuff and there would be no photos of stuff until that movie hit. That was just, that was the first movie I ever stood in line for. Back before the internet.
Hey, don't put that one on the internet. I still waited in line for Force Awakens.
Well, we used to have to buy a newspaper to see what movies we were going to see.
That was before Movie Phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. And we didn't have, I don't think we had Movie Phone in Lancaster, because we had like 7 movie theaters and they were all independent movie theaters. Like, it was well into the 90s before I ever saw like an AMC, or it was always just like such and such road theater, We had Ephrata Theater that had half of the seats were roped off because the ceiling was falling in, but it was 75 cents a seat. So you were like, well, what's a little plaster?
Asbestos.
A little brain damage. 75 cents.
Let's see. Cheap movie, possible concussion. Cheap movie.
Head injury. What I would choose every time.
I think it's a beauty salon now. So.
So what else did you like about the Mando trailer, guys?
Grogu and the Mandalorian together makes me it's going to be, until the day I die, I think back of when Zoe and I would watch it. She would come home from college or whatever. The Mandalorian is going to be that to me all the time, like that. And that's probably why right before you came on, I was saying to John, I hate seeing when Luke takes him. It's hard for me to watch that part. I'll watch till the end and then I'll let it not watch it. And it's hard for me when he gives them up to at the beginning. Those even though I know what's going to happen, it still upsets me.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was telling him those. Ironically enough, those are my 3 favorite episodes. I think it's a little funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's I'm seeing John, like, I get such smiles now because John and his dad are now where me and the girls were in 2007 of yesterday was when I joined the 501st.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, so so that's, I mean, I know what you guys are in for, and you're gonna have a blast. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
the
excited.
other benefit is, John can buy his own tickets to get into the cons.
It's true. Or you get some good cons, you don't gotta buy tickets.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, in 3 days, an amount of days, I will be at another convention. So
Which convention?
OhioCon.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Motor City Con or something is coming up. Has a whole bunch of the Star Wars, like Ashley Eckstein and all those guys from Clone Wars is going to be there.
Yeah, they were all at GalaxyCon a couple weeks ago. I guess more than a couple weeks ago. It was a month and a half ago, but yeah, this was a very spur of the moment. Like, I'm not doing anything this Saturday. Yeah, I'll go to a convention.
Do you have a Krennic pop for your dad?
I did, but I don't know what happened to it.
Now he's Pop Krennic.
Right.
Yeah. Back to the Mando trailer, though.
Oh, sorry.
I am very excited because I don't think this is going to be like the previous 2 seasons. I think that it's going to be very much so one story carried throughout the 8 episodes, just based on what we've seen so far.
Well, and I don't know the timeline. Ken probably knows it better. But season 2, I think, of The Mandalorian was probably a harder lift for them when it was. I think they knew The Mandalorian was going to be successful, but I think season 1 had the weight of Disney Plus on it. Like, I think they hung that Disney Plus streaming service around Mando's neck, Yeah. And I think that made probably planning season 2, they probably had to stay a little more like similar, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense, Ken?
Yeah. And I just, for me, I don't know where they're going, which is super duper exciting about it. Because this exists it exists in such a part of the galaxy that it could literally go off, into the wild reaches and not necessarily have to be connected to the larger story at all.
Yeah. Well, I go back and forth liking the connected stuff and liking the one shots.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth. Like, I'm like, oh, I really like that. And then I see an episode like when they were on the snow planet with the frog lady. Like, even though that was kind of connected, that was just kind of a cool story, like a little adventure, It was like an A-team adventure.
Well, and when it aired, it seemed like it wasn't connected.
Right.
But, with this trailer now, they're bringing back, at least that one's, was it Jedi Ranger not Jedi Ranger, one of the Rangers. I can't remember the full title of that little group.
Oh yeah.
He was a part of the
Rangers of the New Republic.
Yes, that's what it is.
That never got made,
or at least it hasn't grown legs thanks to some off-screen antics of certain people. But
Cobb Vanth, that's my only thing. Put him in charge.
Oh, he wears the same stripes.
I just when they first announced Rangers of the New Republic, I pictured Army Rangers. And then when he gave him that badge, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh, they mean like Cowboy Rangers. Like
Space
Lone
Rangers.
Like, yeah, like, Well, that's what you said. We could sit here and talk, and we could get something right just by mistake because there's so many ways it can go.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't wait to see where they go. I mean, if my track record's anything, I'm probably going to like it.
I'm probably going to like it, and I'm probably going to be wrong about whatever I guess.
Yeah.
Marva.
Yeah. There's a 50-50 chance that there's a 100% chance that you're going to like it.
Yep. Yeah,
Even
I
just
can't.
Based on how it looks. I mean, it looks fantastic.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's The Mandalorian. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do to make us not like it. I mean,
Right.
let's call a spade a spade. I mean, unless the entire show didn't have Din Djarin or Grogu at all.
Yep.
Yeah, but then that would be the Book of Boba Fett, so it'd be fine.
Good point.
Well,
Good
don't
point.
say that. Don't say that to Anthony. Yeah, no, it was a good trailer. I still love that drop ship, which I'd seen before. Like, that's like the coolest thing ever.
Well, did you notice we got a little bit more of that scene this time?
Yeah.
So now we know it's on Navarro is where they're dropping.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Navarro is where that Mando first started, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're going to probably just get a little bit of revenge on.
Well, is it possible that that's a flashback?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Because it had Pax in the recent trailer. Pax Vizsla, was it Pax Vizsla? No, which one of the heavy Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Is that Pax?
Yeah. So the theories that I have heard is that it's either going to be someone came to Navarro and the Mandalorians are fighting them, or it is two factions of Mandalorians that are fighting each other. Because the scene you see with Paz Vizsla, you can see where the statue of IG-11 was.
Oh, okay.
I overanalyzed this. Yeah.
Okay. So it was after that.
Yeah, I overanalyzed the crap out of this trailer.
Well, they could be going to get the. They could be just going to get the armor.
That's true.
Because all that armor was stat. You know what I mean? Like because they need the Beskar.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have buckets of Beskar. Listen to the Beskar Bucket on iTunes or wherever you find podcasts.
Ah, the shameless plug. I love it. Yeah. I think this season's going to blow the other two out of the water.
Good.
Which is weird because even though we haven't seen it yet, there's already been rumblings that it's going to stink.
Oh, I know. Well, I think there's a group of people that no matter what, they want to say that because someone's going to get it right eventually. Because if you remember when The Force Awakens came out, there was not a single bad thing you could say about it. Weeks after it was out, and then that one person said something about it, and then it opened up this whole, because they're like, wait a minute, that guy got how many clicks because he said it was a copy of this? Oh, hell, listen to what I got to say, So, but yeah, I was saying to John, like everyone was crapping on the volume, with Andor. The volume this is so much better, and why can't they both be really good? Because the volume, when you rewatch that, even knowing it was in the volume, you're like, wait a minute, yeah, that looks good. Like I was watching when he lands the ship, in season 1 on that desert planet where he rescues Grogu, and I'm watching that, I'm like, that looks like a ship is really landing somewhere, like what,
Well, how about when he was fighting the Trandoshans?
Yeah.
Or fighting the Mudhorn, any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't, I want to transport some of these people back to like 1970. Here, watch this science fiction. Shut up. Here.
Well, even transport them back to 1977 and let them read the reviews of the original movie. Not everybody liked it and still was successful.
Yeah.
So something can be successful in spite of all the negative reviews and comments and so on.
And I think it goes kind of with the comic book movies too. There's a lot of people that don't understand why people like certain things, and instead of just saying, well, that's not my thing, they're just going to crap on it. Like I find it odd that when you watch any of those Marvel movies or any of the Star Wars movies, that none of those people get any kind of awards for acting, but someone who just does a regular, I don't know what seems like a normal movie can get. It's way harder to act you're telling me that those actors that play Marvel characters that are in a big giant green screen are not doing a good job making me think they're fighting something. than someone standing in a kitchen talking about, their love life or something.
Yeah.
The
neighbors' love life.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just think there's a little bit of a bias, and it's just the times we live in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the Golden Globes from this year. Diego Luna was nominated for Andor.
Yeah.
However, Kevin Costner won for 1927, a spinoff of a spinoff.
Yeah. So,
speaking of award shows, are you guys excited about the Georgies?
I am.
Quite. I finished my list.
I finished mine, and I added my own category, but no one chimed in.
Oh, I commented. I didn't chime in on that, but I shared it with you. Shared my comment with you about it. I thought that was hilarious.
No, because that was the only thing that took me out of your universe. I'm like, wait a minute, that guy, that's his girlfriend. That makes no sense. I can believe Star Destroyers, but I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. So you don't believe Bix and Tim's, but you're okay with Pelly and a Jawa?
Oh no, well, yeah, the way they have it made up, I know with Pelly, I believe she just runs her mouth and 90% of what she says isn't true. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think she's one of those people that, because she's a mechanic, she just tries to keep people talking while she's doing her work. And I don't think she gets much human interaction. And so she's just, and then she just goes with it.
Yeah, but she's got the droids to talk to.
I know, but don't you think in a real universe, wouldn't those, if you just hung around with droids all day, wouldn't you get a little,
I don't know. I guess I have to have it happen for
a pit droid. I can see if you had a protocol droid, it would talk back. But if you talk to R2 or a pit droid all day that's just beeping and clicking, I don't know.
Yeah, but some people seem to understand them. I mean, look at Luke with R2 when R2 was swearing on the island of Acto.
Yeah.
Watch the language. Sacred island.
R2 probably wouldn't say anything at all. He's probably like, please, I need a battery change. This lightsaber's corroded my innards, and he just keeps thinking he's cussing. I don't picture Luke being a very good student of when they were learning droid beeps for the load lifters. They probably always broke because he learned the wrong beeps. He just seems like he was really half-assing it at his uncle's farm. I'm just saying,
Wednesdays are going to get exciting pretty fast because starting in March, it'll be Bad Batch and The Mandalorian.
Right. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, February is Mando month, building up to Mando season 3.
Could be.
So I'm checking right now to possibly see if Penn Cinema is renting theaters again.
There you go.
So I might not be able to podcast that night because we will watch Mando on the big screen.
See, I'm just gonna have to do it that morning.
Well, that's the only thing. That's what I got to think of is, do I want to rent a theater and risk being spoiled all day? Because when you teach middle school students, man, they're like, that's like chum in the water if I didn't say I saw it.
Well, what if you? Because I think that regardless of when you watch it on the big screen, it's still going to be awesome. So whether you're watching it on, premiere day, or if you're watching it, 3 Saturdays later with a group of friends, I think it'll be just as awesome on the movie theater screen on that day as it would be the very first day.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. I'm going to see what he has available because they changed it now. It used to be called pod rentals, and now it's just birthday rentals. So I got to see. I don't want to like rent it and they're like, oh, and you can choose these 4 movies. I'm like, yeah.
Marley and Me.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, but yeah, that's the Mando month. So
I can't wait for those 3 weeks where it's, we all get in here and, Mike's like, didn't have a chance to see either of them today.
Well, no, you know what? Because my robot competition is this Saturday. So, like right now, this week, I'm staying late 3 days out of the week to prepare for this robot competition. So I will not be the extra 6 to 8 hours a week at work. So
Always a plus when you're not working for free.
Yeah, well, we have to work for free because I have to turn in a paper at the end of the year
Good point.
for all the free work I did, or I'll be a disappointing teacher.
How much of this season of Mandalorian do you think is going to involve Bo-Katan and possibly Thrawn?
See, I wonder, do you think they're going to save Thrawn for the Ahsoka show?
That would be my guess.
Like, I wonder if you're going to have the whatever, free Mandalore / that, which will then lead us into the Ahsoka show, which then would possibly build into either a confrontation with Thrawn or somehow point, like all the shows will then point to a single finale or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we've got a better chance of this leading into the sequel trilogy than moving more towards the Ahsoka show. So I think out of the two, seeing the rise of the First Empire and seeing the conclusion of the Thrawn events, I think we're probably going more towards the rise of the First Order, just with like the whole Dr. Pershing.
Yeah, because they showed
storyline
him.
going
Yeah.
on.
Now, do you think that was a flashback scene or a current scene?
I think that's probably a current scene. If I had to put money on it, I would say probably current.
Because he just looked more official than ragtag like the rest.
Yeah. Let's go back and look at his ear. See if he's missing part of his ear.
That's true. The days of high def. Imagine if this was pre Phantom Menace when you had to download the trailer for half a day. And it was on a little
little matchbox size image.
Goodness. I was
144p.
I was pulling movies from my kids being little, and I'm like, oh my God, how terrible are these videos now? Like, it looks like
my memories are tainted.
Yeah. It's like I thought I saw it in high def. So yeah, that's my Mando. What else we have? We have Bad Batch.
Well, Bad Batch, and there was some footage released of Rebel Moon.
Of what?
Rebel Moon. It's the Star Wars-esque movie that's supposed to be done by Zack Snyder.
Oh yeah, well, but it's not Star Wars.
It's Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm like,
we've hit our quota of non-Star Wars today. You just weren't here for it.
Yeah. But Bad Batch I liked. I thought that was a fun episode to let tech kind of shine.
Well, and how nice is it to have a callback to George and his racing, whether it was his actual racing, the stuff that we saw in the Phantom Menace, and or the stuff that we saw in the Droids cartoon.
Yep. Well, and I think it also reinforced the abilities of the clones. And it was cool to see what a battle droid was one of the pilots, and two protocol droids.
A battle droid on a protocol droid's body.
Yes.
And an assassin droid.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, that brought me back to when the assassin droids would put on clone armor in the first season of Clone Wars. That was scary for Zoe.
What kind of robot was Teo?
I don't know what that was.
Because it kind of sort of looked like an exposed hot rod engine, like his chest parts.
Yeah,
I don't know what those or motorcycle parts.
Yeah, I don't know what because that was a whole new design. Like it was funny though because he was the guy from Parks and Rec, John Ralphia.
Ben Schwartz, right? Is that what
I don't know. Ben Schwartz. Yeah, because Zoe said, "Oh, that's Ben." I didn't know who it was. I just knew the voice sounded familiar. And when she said Ben Schwartz, I said, "I think that's John Ralphio." So I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And then me and
so
Zoe
much
got
more
into this
sense.
long discussion of like famous people in Star Wars, and I was like, "Wow, I wonder if these people do it for free or less money, just so they can say they're in Star Wars." Because I always seem it odd that they, when you're doing a cartoon where it really doesn't matter whose voice does what. Like you and I are going to watch, all of us are going to watch it. It doesn't matter who does the voices, we're not. And so I wonder if those people just want to like, hey, we'll do it for whatever cheap rate so we can say we're in Star Wars.
Well, there was a Ghostbusters connection in today's episode.
Yeah. That was an odd character because when I saw his silhouette, I thought he was one of those spider guys.
Ah, okay. The one that Anakin killed?
Yeah, and then I was like,
Admiral
oh, no, he didn't
Trench.
have his extra arms. But I thought he was one of the spider because he had odd tusks that came out of his chin, right?
Well, I think the other ones came out of their chins too. I just don't think they were pointed in the same direction.
Right.
as
But
this
when I
guy.
saw the silhouette, I was just like, is that one of those guys? But
Back up. What was the Ghostbusters reference?
Ernie Hudson.
he did the voice.
He did the voice of that
cruiser.
big beefy character.
Oh my god, did he really? I was rushed watching today's episode, so I missed everything. I got the gist of the episode. I just need to go back and rewatch it.
The soundtrack for that was great too. They had like some techno trap kind of music in the background during the race.
Yeah, the race was really cool, and I liked that it showed that Tech could outthink a droid. Because the droid was like, "You got to do this," and the Tech was trying to tell him, and he didn't. And I knew he was going to get hit by a car when he was walking. I was like, "He's going to get hit by something."
So. Well, did you pick up that was one of the other guy's henchmen?
Yeah. I was like, so that was good. I mean, it was a fun episode. Because that's the perfect show where I do like that they have episodes that don't 100% go click onto the narrative. Because honestly, what I thought was going to happen when they were doing it, I thought, wow, they're going to put his face up on the screen, and some Imperial's going to see it when he won.
I thought it was interesting that they chose to use his name. Like,
yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like,
you're on the run, you're hiding, sort of, like, and then on big loudspeakers and Tech.
Yeah. Well, the internet in the Star Wars, the HoloNet is not very good. And I've said this before too. The internet is one of those few scientific developments that if you watch pre-1990s, other than like war games, there was really no thought of how the internet and stuff was going to change how we look at things. Like no one had a concept of that. Star Trek didn't have a concept of it. Star Wars didn't have a concept of it. And so they had to kind of retro sci-fi certain things, like they even did it in Firefly. With Firefly, the movie, they had that guy that was like a blogger, or a podcaster, like a broadcaster in the movie that wasn't really in the television show, and they kind of had it because like in the 90s, it just kind of just blew up, and then when smartphones hit it,
So I guess we didn't reach our non-Star Wars talk.
I guess not. I stand corrected.
He slipped it right in there.
Star Wars. That's Star Wars.
Firefly's not Star Wars.
Firefly was all the Star Wars I could find there for a while. I was like, okay, I'm good. That's close enough. I even went as far as watched Razak's Roughnecks. Did you ever watch that?
No.
It's an animated show I want to say mid-90s, based on Starship Troopers.
Yeah, you need to put that in our group message thing. I gotta look that up.
Razak's Roughnecks, and it was the predecessor to the animation that Clone Wars is.
So it was like hyper marionette.
It was kind of that. It was that 3D-ish kind of, but it was a good show. Like it was basically like just continued on Starship Troopers stuff.
Wow.
Like it was just like it was like, remember the show called there was a Vietnam television show on in the 90s or the 80s, Tour of Duty. It was like that for Starship Troopers.
Oh wow.
And it was good. It was on it was on weird times, and when I was home and I had my comic book store, I would just watch it in the mornings and stuff. It was really good. And there was like, when it got canceled, there was like this big push of like people, early internet, trying to like get it back and stuff. Razak's Roughnecks. See if I can.
So hold on. So what you're telling me is you watched Firefly,
Yep,
a spinoff of Starship Troopers, yet you couldn't give arguably the best Star Trek show a chance.
you're correct.
You missed Star Trek talk, Ken.
I thought you were going to talk about Futurama. I thought you were going to say, and you didn't watch
Meh.
Futurama.
No, I watched Futurama. I did watch Futurama.
All of it.
Several times.
Yeah, I could not give. You know, the other thing is, which I'm sure he's not going to listen to it. My one brother-in-law was a big fan of Next Generation, and he's kind of a jackass, and so that was probably another,
subconscious thing.
Probably.
So what about? I'm going to say something, and I hope it doesn't make the two of you sad. So there are people out there that have already seen 14 of the 16 Bad Batch episodes.
Yeah.
There are other podcasters that have early access to this stuff, and they've seen it. So we're not on the list, and so I'm very disappointed in Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and the mix.
It better be the Dad Batch on that list.
It could be. I don't know. I'm not.
I don't know if the Dad Batch is on there. The Dad Batch is
because they're fairly new.
They're newer than us because they started this past summer.
Huh.
They started months after Celebration.
We're veterans compared to the Dad Batch.
Yeah. Well, listen, I just did doing the podcasting thing with Zoe. Everyone gets their time in the sun. You know, like when Zoe first started, she hit at a certain time where she got her second or third show. They got invited to do a thing with Vanessa Marshall. You know what I mean? Like it's just timing.
What about you?
Razak's Roughnecks Starship Troopers Chronicles.
That's a mouthful.
There is 10, 20, 30 episodes. No. 30 episodes? I don't know.
It's your story. You can tell it any way you want.
I'm trying. They have a Wikipedia. They have a Starship Troopers Wikipedia. It's called Roughneck Starship Troopers Chronicles. I don't know where you would find it, but it was that is, I would highly recommend that animation because it's very predecessor to the Clone Wars to me. Here, let me see if I can pull up a picture of the.
Ken, I'm sorry. We did not hit our quota at all.
Nope, I'm sorry.
Unless it reset as soon as I hopped on, because all that stuff.
It could be.
Good point.
It could be.
We were warm up. Pre-gaming?
I can get it on Amazon. I don't know. That's my non-Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there are folks who've already seen the first 14 episodes, and
I want to listen to these podcasts. I probably know some of these people.
It's definitely possible.
Who are
they? I know the gentleman from Forces Behind. No, sorry, that's us. No, the Blast Points, Jason and Gabe.
Oh, really? Hey, I don't know that.
They're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for deep cut silliness and creativity and pure joy,
that's us.
Yeah.
No, I think Blast Points. I think I met them. I gotta look here.
Notice how he just turns around to look at his stolen banner.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
The real quick just.
No, I guess they were. See, I met a few when we went to the podcast meetup at Chicago, which was way better than the podcast meetup in Anaheim. So,
well, now there are just so
There's a
many of them. Look
podcast
how many
meetup-
are involved with February 7th.
oh yeah, I still haven't heard back from him. Me and Zoe are recording one for
Send
our
him another
show.
note.
I
was gonna say
will.
Mr. Badger the hell out of everyone till you get an answer.
I know. I've been less badgery this 2023.
That's the
19
wrong New
years,
Year's
getting-
resolution to have.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be less badgery. I've just honestly, I think students post COVID are driving me insane. So
That's fair.
I have students who just it's I don't care what anyone says. It is harder to get a 12-year-old to do what you want them to do than to get an adult to do what you want them to do. So
Well, because they have nothing to lose.
they're like, yeah, what are you gonna do? So yeah, I have to get on that, and the podcast, it does seem like the podcasting numbers have kind of shaken out a little bit post COVID. Like they're right after COVID, like there was so many Star Wars podcasts, I was losing track of who I was listening to, and it seems like a lot of people slowed down a little bit. So
Sadly, not sadly, but one of the things I've noticed is that there are so many of them that if I don't like the show in the first 20 minutes, I'm on to another one to see if I like that one. And I know it could be just a bad episode. It could be me not in the right mood or whatever, the right frame of mind. But it's like, all right, that little thing there, going to the next.
And play-by-play recaps, I used to love. I don't know if I've just listened to too many of them, or maybe because we all talk Wednesday about Star Wars. But I used to love listening to like someone's opinion of play-by-play of an episode of like Rebels or something like that. And now when I listen to it on Bad Batch, I'm just like, So
I will do the trailer breakdowns,
yeah,
but any more, unless I see an episode where I'm like, I feel like I missed everything, or I'm curious. There was something either so small or so big that I'm like, I need to hear what other people think about it.
yeah.
But like it used to be like every single week I would wake up, watch the new episode, and then immediately go to YouTube and see like what new rock stars had out, or the heavy spoilers show.
Heavy spoiler. Screen Crush
Yeah.
is a good one for that.
I've been steering clear of spoilers and speculation just lately, just because we talk about it, and then I was like, I gotta tone down my. And I'm waiting for John to join the 501st cast. He's put his name in it, and because they lost one of their guys. His last show was their last recorded show.
Are they like actively looking for another host, or
Again, I'll tell you exactly the advice I give my kids. You don't wait till someone's actively looking for anything. You just tell them you're ready to go. Right? No one's going to say, well, we would have taken you, but you seem way too eager. You know what I mean? Other than maybe some weird medical procedures, most people are not going to turn you down because you're overly eager.
Good point.
But I mean, it would be a good perspective. Ow, I just got a Charlie horse of a new person. To hear a new person that hasn't been in long. Because John, you're as old as the thing.
He's 55 years old. He's wandering off.
I know. No, I got a Charlie horse. I haven't. I was sitting too long.
Did you put one of those air tags in his pocket so we don't lose them?
I'm not that old yet. No, but John, you're as old as the Legion, right? How old are you? 23?
Oh, shit. Yeah, the Legion is older than me.
Yeah, so that,
Are you okay? Are we good to continue?
Oh, man, I just got a Charlie horse. Listen, I got 20 Charlie horses when I was 20, too. So now, listen, I had a friend, every time something happened, this was 10 years ago, he acted like I was an old man. I was like, no, I just, I'm sorry, but I was working all day and I want to sit down. But we forgot Babu in the trailer.
Do you think that's Babu or just a bunch of fricks?
Well, whatever. It's a frick of fricks. I think it's Babu and his little brother Timmy. Tim with two M's.
We can't have another Tim. It's got
Tim with three M's, and he's
Tim
and he's dating Mon Mothma. He's a side piece of Mon Mothma.
Well, if he's Tim with three M's, I heard he's a little bit clingy. There you go, Ken. I got you one.
Nice.
No, but I was excited to that. And you know what? That scene is what started a bunch of the negative comments I had to delete on my Facebook. Because then they started trashing the last movie or whatever.
Oh, God.
I'm like, really? Like, that's all it takes to trigger you to hate on something is a picture of Babu? Oh. So, I don't know.
We're also
Mike, you said you had trivia.
I do have trivia. You guys want to try Mando trivia?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. I'm up for some questions.
All right, let me. I have all these windows. Like I have my inflatable Falcon, our video to play at the end. But let me hear the music.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? I don't know if we have anyone that can join. We have one person watching. They can join.
That's Diggs BTW7, whoever that is.
All right, so you should jump in, Diggs B, and do our trivia. And I don't know these questions, so I can do it too. So you just go to blookit.com. I don't know if I can do it now. Oops, I can't do it. Oops. Because I have to be on the same screen. Let me fix this. There we go. So just go to blookit.com. You don't have to sign up. Just go. There we go. See if it'll let me. Join game. It's only a 7-minute game.
I ain't got the time for that.
I did not make these questions. I just downloaded a Mandalorian one.
Old man Mike.
Just to make you guys happy, you know. All right. So if
Senior Mike,
senior citizen Mike. So we will. Let's see. We have 3 people in. We have 1 person watching. You can join in. It won't hurt you. I promise. It won't steal your identity or anything. Well, it might. I don't know. Are you guys ready to start?
Sure.
I'm ready.
This is for the champion. This is for the Golden Georgie, which I could not find a good file. I was trying to 3D print a file. Oh, this question's easy.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't the only one who was looking for a Georgie.
Good. I found the busts, but I really didn't want to spend whatever it was, 30. They went $30-some for a file.
Yeah.
Really, these questions are like really easy.
Who made this one up?
I don't know. I just went on. Look, it has tons, and I just found one with a bunch of questions.
I think this was made by a middle schooler.
Oh, maybe it was. Are they right? Are the questions? We all get different questions, so. My right or your right? This question said, "Who's in the right of this picture?"
The heck
I have 3
taking my
triple
goals.
Oh, great.
Son of a.
Did you get one wrong?
No, I got one where it took away my stuff.
I got lose. Well, I've gotten right triple gold, but I don't have any.
Some of these questions are questionable.
Questionable, yeah. Some of the answers were just, yeah.
Yeah. So
They call the guy Cyclops. Come on. Finds Grogu. Some of them are tests on spelling too.
Yeah.
Who's winning? John is winning.
That's what I mean.
It's sheer luck. Ooh. Imperial spelled Empirial.
Well, how about the spelling of the Mandalorian?
Well, there was one where the correct spelling was the winner. All right, let's see.
Stop taking my gold.
I can't take anything. Oh, I didn't even read it. I just clicked. I got the same question twice in a row. Like, I think the magic hand thing and the force are the same thing.
Come on, baby, do the magic hand thing.
Denny. I like the name Denny.
Damn it.
Sorry, God.
John is 37.
You're not sorry.
No. Well, there you go, Mike.
Oh, you swapped for me? Oh, good.
She didn't sense fear in him. That's baloney.
That's some long answers in some of these.
Yeah.
Oh, someone took my gold.
You're welcome.
Sideways hair. Yeah. Ladies frog eggs. Remember when that was a scandal? Oh, man. Stormtrooper spelled wrong. It's not 2 words. That one question was only from season 1. We got a minute left. Oh, you swap gold with me? Oh, good, I'm winning. If you don't click it, it'll go away.
If you don't click what?
Like if you win, like swap, and you're winning, just don't click anything, and it'll go away. I should have probably told you guys that sooner. Melted bat cars. What does the Twi'lek lady do a lot of? She looked weird. I like some of the wrong answers better than the right answers. Oh, John just took $7,000.
Sorry.
I think we need to promote our.
How do you have 22,000?
John is 59,000.
Well, did I win?
Well, I think that's so. John's our trivia expert.
Let's go.
I don't know about that.
Let's go.
What was your accuracy rate?
Oh, I just
86%.
91.
I lost because of a couple spelling.
I have to come up with some better questions. That was just a.
Mike, is that the Burning River Squad logo I see on your desktop?
Yeah. I don't know what I was. Oh, when I was making the when I was making our intro, I was at first I was going to put those on, and then I was like, you know what? We don't want to be not knocking the 500 first, but I was like, we don't want our podcast to like be subject to 500 first stuff, so we'll keep that off.
Good point.
So because when we started CaritaCast, there was a big uproar that we were going to call it CaritaCast, and then we just did it. We just did it anyway.
Hey, win some, you lose some, right?
And we used to say at the beginning, we're not affiliated with this and that. So, because as much as we joke around about Lucasfilm watching us and this and that, I found in all the years of being with the 501st and dealing with Zoe's podcast, they don't care. Unless you decide to be a spree killer in your armor, they're probably not going to bother with you. That's because it's John gets to be in his first election with the 501st
I'm excited.
in 2 weeks. So that's going to be a show in and of itself. So
yeah, I genuinely wonder how that's gonna because I genuinely I don't know what to expect.
Well, it is there's been some good ones. It's just the I don't know how the Ohio. I mainly watch the big election, So, and I'll hopefully Justin will run again, and I'll vote for Justin again. But there is some stuff. It's neat to see because sometimes we forget that it's across the whole world, so rules have to match up and fit everything in the entire world.
Right.
So it's sometimes in this country we get a little spoiled with some of the freedoms we have, So, do the Mando Mercs have elections?
Yep.
Okay. Except for the Supreme Leader or whatever, right?
You mean Mandalore himself?
Yeah.
Mandalore the Uniter?
Yeah. But no, it's fun. I mean, it should be a good time.
I don't know if I'd describe it as fun. It's interesting. For me, it's comical in some ways.
Well, it is very comical in some of the threads that they go down that have no bearing on anything. And those you just have to laugh.
Yeah, and if for me, if I happen to know some of the people because they have local elections and then international positions and stuff like this, or what do they call it? It's upper level leadership within the group. And so some of those folks never heard of, never met. I can only go based on what they type in the forums and stuff about their positions on X or their thoughts on Y. But then there are some people that I know, and it's comical to see some of the things that they'll type where they'll say this thing in the forum and you're like, that's nowhere near close to being how you really. I mean, what thesaurus are you using to come up with the phrasing of this? Because A, you've never talked like that in person, and all of the times I've met you. And second, the words you're typing are in 180-degree opposite of how you behave in person in real life. And this is what folks like me around the world will be reading and assuming that's how you truly are.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, I can't put a banner over their stuff and just call it bullshit.
I saved the all my election questions as a giant PDF because of the not only the stupid questions that people ask me, but the even stupider answers my opponent give, because I just give simple answers. I'm not a, and yeah, I learned a lot from running, but it should
Mike,
be.
I'm gonna nominate you for the Legion.
Nominate away. I'm not joining. Justin, honestly, Justin Sonfeld, I can't say enough nice things about him. I've met him. I became friends with him through Jordan years ago, and he comes to the Legion to bring something to it rather than to take something away.
Right.
And I think that's how the people that do a good job leading the Legion, they're not trying to fill a hole in their regular life. They're trying to share their joy, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense, Ken?
Oh yeah.
And I think that goes all the way down to the membership. Like the Legion makes things better for me in my life. However, I didn't join the Legion because I was so unhappy that I was like, well, look, if I do this, this will make me happy. And I think a lot of people, like, they're not happy at their job or they're not happy with their relationships, and they think the Legion will fill that hole. And it might act like a Band-Aid for a while, but it's not going to fill that hole. So, unless you have a hole to wear costumes, then I guess it would fill that hole.
Like, there aren't a whole lot of cons around here in Northeast Ohio, so
yeah, there's like a drought of cons right now.
I love how I say that. I'll be going to my third con in 2 months.
Yeah, well, it's relative, man. It's all relative. There's not really much. We have, I think, there's a Phantoms game or Allentown hockey game in April that I just got an invite to from Marty through the Droid Builders. So
Ooh.
I'm going to try to convince Safi to suit up.
Yeah, I'm currently on a wait list for there is a Columbus Blue Jackets game, which is like actual. That's NHL. I don't know, because I'm currently 6th on the wait list, and we got capped at 30. So
wow, that's impressive.
30 is good. That's a good number. Well, see, I think around here we have so many groups. Like, we have the main groups, and then we have Saber Guild, and then we have this offshoot of Saber. We have another group that's not really Saber Guild, but it's a guild. We have, like, I think there's probably 15 different costuming groups, and in the country, like, or more. And I think almost all 15 of them are somehow really in Pennsylvania in one way, shape, or form. Like, if us three decided to, if we made a website and made a costuming group within like 20 minutes, we could get put on Lucasfilm's list. And any open invites, they have to invite all the groups. And so that's why around here, like, a lot of times we'll get like 10, right? Is that how it is, Ken? With some of the games, they'll be like, you can get like 10 spots.
10 per group, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're assuming that each of those 15 groups will have 10 people.
Yeah.
So that means they're looking for 150 people.
Yeah.
And it rarely ever gets to that.
Yeah.
Because the other part too around here is I know some folks that are in each of them. So that one person can't go to the event as in 3 costumes. They go to a convention that way, but they can't go to an event like this. Wear the Jedi for the first. The first period and wear their stormtrooper for the second period and finish in their Mando.
Yeah. I also think some of these venues, if you reach out to them and you say, look, we can get, I think like Marty gets personal invites from the Phillies, the Reading Phillies, and the Flyers. Like he's not. He just gets. Hey, can you bring like the Reading Phillies or the Fighting Phillies or whatever the minor league Phillies game? That guy called Marty the other day and said, "When are you available?" And that's when we're going to schedule Star Wars night. So it was like, that's pretty impressive, you know.
Well, it also goes to show how reliable Marty is too.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a bunch of people that I've known that they say they sign up, they put their name on the list, and they ghost you. They don't hear from them for a week or months or whatever.
And I understand it happening once in a while. I understand life gets in the way, but you can and you probably even seen it, John. I get irritated. You can't have a family emergency every event. Like if situation X is always happening on every Saturday you signed up for something, maybe you shouldn't troop until you get situation X straightened out, so yeah, because that's I always get irritated with that because that a lot of times it lets people, like, we like to plan ahead, especially when the girls were little. We would put it on I would talk to the girls and say, look, 3 weeks from now they want us to do this, but you'll be gone all day Saturday. Do you want to do this? And if they said yes, we signed up, and no matter what happened, we were, and if there was a chance, like when Zoe was doing her movie, I remember signing up for stuff and I was like, well, me and Safi are coming, Zoe's 50-50, so don't hold a spot for her, and but yeah, I'd like to get some trooping in before Zoe goes back to California, so we'll see.
I'm just speaking of trooping. I'm looking to keep my goal of at least once a month.
Nice.
So,
you got January licked.
Yep, January's done. February is signed up for. Now we're just waiting on some March events to start rolling in.
Yeah, summer is like Pennsylvania. Summer's hit or miss, but I like the summer. Sometimes they'll get really oddball ones, like that are like on a Tuesday, and if I'm off, then I try to do those. We'll do like a summer camp or something like that for special needs children or something. So hopefully it's not unbearably hot.
I hope we have another month like we had in October. October for us, I mean, it felt like we had an event every weekend.
Yeah, ours are still way far east right now, and like especially on a weeknight or even some weekends, it's like I can't fight Philly traffic, in the middle of a Saturday someday, to troop for an hour.
Yeah, a lot of ours are Columbus right now, which it's hard for me to make it down there. Yeah, especially, I mean, like, and the problem that I've seen is like it's a 2.5 hour drive for an hour long troop.
Yeah,
so 5 hours worth of driving for 1 hour worth of troop, and then maybe an hour worth of dinner.
Yeah. Well, I like Delaware right now is like going gangbusters in the sense that I like going to Delaware because they'll have a variety of costumes too. Like I know that's I probably am a slight costume snob in that regard because I do like to troop when there's a variety. Like I love, if there's a Vader, I love, as a TK, I love to troop when there's a Vader. So
same as Kylo.
Yeah.
We can get 2 Sith Lords together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I just like to see, like I like to see groups of stormtroopers, and I like to see groups of Mandos and stuff like that. But there for a while, we just had like a mismatch of like Royal Guards. I love when they're in pairs. So I hope Chris doesn't listen to this. He's a friend that does a Royal Guard, but I love to see Royal Guards in pairs. But I don't see that very often. There we go. All right.
Good to see you, Anthony.
Popped in. You missed our trivia. John's our trivia master.
From a certain point of view.
Anthony, I won fair and square.
I think Anthony would love and hate that trivia at the same time. That method of trivia.
I thought you were talking about just that quiz in general.
Well, that quiz in general wasn't that good.
Faithful watcher, first time caller.
So, yeah, Anthony, did you like my new category on the on your thing? I'm curious what
On the Georgies.
Oh, the Georgies. Yeah, I was looking for that. Though I did find a really nice George Lucas bust that I think I'm going to make my switch to my bookcase. Because that one comes already in pieces.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
too.
it comes. It's like, so I'm like, I don't even have to hinge it. I could just put the hinge in the back, bronze it up. So have my George Lucas. There's some really, and they're made by Great Ape. Is that Great Ape that makes those?
Yeah.
But man, that's expensive for a file.
What was it? $35, $45?
$35. Oh, nice.
Now I want to know which one surprised you.
If you guys have some extra time, you should go in too and add some presenters notes for some of the awards that you think you might want to be the distributor of.
That's a good point. I could have sworn there had to be at least one.
The girls had an award show 4 or 5 years ago. But when you had teenage girls do an award show for girls who never watched an award show, it didn't really go over very well. Because I think that's like watching a variety show. If you've never seen it, it doesn't make any sense to you. So
I got a whole plan for this whole award show that I just need to put in motion in terms of setup.
So then riding in on a horse.
I picture like next year, then like the Oscars will be the forces behind Star Wars, and then our show will be what was the award show below, remember there for a while,
the
like
Razzies, the Razzies,
the People's Choice Awards.
Yeah, but what's like there for a while is like everyone had an award show. It was like a really bad one,
Oh, the MTV Awards show?
Yeah, like MTV where you got popcorn, a gold popcorn, Blockbuster. Well, I guess Blockbuster was pretty big back in the day. Yeah, we're gonna have to, it's I just need a job of giving people ideas and then let them do the hard work. I'm an idea man. Don't let me, But yeah, I was gonna use these trivia questions. You ever see this?
Yeah, I have that set.
Yeah, I was gonna use these trivia questions, but I just didn't have time to type them in. It's my marking period ends Wednesday, and I'm one of the nice teachers that lets kids turn in work late, which sounds really good, but when you have 160 students decide to turn in up to 9 assignments late per student.
Yikes.
It doesn't make the last couple days very much fun, Formal wear. Oh man, I gotta find formal wear.
I wear formal wear every single day.
I set my ties on fire my second year teaching. I quit wearing ties when I taught science. I was like, I'm not wearing this anymore.
That's fair. That's understandable.
Well, and I was thinking one day when I was teaching, I was like, if there's ever a fight and a kid grabs me by the tie, I'm kind of helpless. No, I mean, like really, they could pull me to the ground if I'm not paying attention.
No, you're right. I don't know why it's funny, but it's just.
I mean, I was like, clip on tie or no tie? Because at one point when I was a computer teacher, I thought of buying a whole bunch of white short sleeve button down shirts and clip on ties and pocket protectors and just dress like a nerd just to freak my students out. And, and then I thought, polo shirts are cheaper and nicer to wear.
Yeah, and you won't get bullied by 12-year-olds.
No,
he still gets bullied by 12-year-olds. What are you talking about?
It drives not only my students and my principal nuts that I wear the same. I have 5 outfits I wear the same clothes every day. It drives them all nuts. And I do it partially because I have a lot of poor kids that have to wear the same clothes every day anyway. So I show them, look, it's not a, like there is a method behind. I try to help my students who don't have much.
Yeah, but you're not one of the Instagram influencer teachers that poses by the chalkboard.
No, because technically, I try not to take any pictures of school because there are some violations of putting social media pictures of the school. Like I could violate some stuff, and so I just better safe than sorry. Because especially with high def cameras, teachers will take pictures of their room and they'll forget they have a roster sitting on their desk, so they've just exposed a whole bunch of kids' names on the internet. And when you teach in a middle school, you fall under different federal laws.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I think formal. I'm all for the formal. I have a suit somewhere.
It only has to be from the waist up.
Yeah, I know.
Unless you do one of your patented walk out of camera or walk.
Okay, I had a Charlie horse. Anthony, they're trying to put me in the grave already. You know. So
yeah, because
this like show
that,
is end up in a home.
Is so energetic that you give yourself a cramp.
Oh,
my sciatica.
Let me get my cane. I don't even have any good old man stories this week.
You wasted them all in our first year.
I know, right? I wasted all my good stories.
I'm interested in hearing some of Anthony's thoughts on the Mando trailer.
Yeah. He doesn't want any of his content, Old, yeah. We need a big silver microphones, Well, that's how when podcasting first came out, when it was first starting to be a thing, and I want to say late '90s, but it was more like 2002. All the podcasting, they taught it like you were doing 30s radio, like it must be scripted, and there's no downtime. You have to project with his voice, and everything must be written down. Now, maybe if we wrote stuff down here, our show would be better, but the scripted shows that's a tough one. So we didn't even do Workbench or Costume Corner this week or anything. We just got Mando.
Well, it's because we're slacking.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, my Workbench is still. I'm just bought new print heads for my printers, so our Mando stuff will be back up and printing, which I just have to do the legs.
Just
and
wait
then
till
I'm
you
print the helmet too, Ken, and see what I can do with that.
Okay.
There we go. I thought we were almost going to get like the dad batch, but we kind of just reverted back to our old self. We tried.
It happens.
Marty's coming over Sunday, so we'll hopefully my resin printer I tried multiple times. I gave up. So this guy will be all smoothed up and hopefully molded on Sunday. Yeah, I saw Kirby and the White House. So he has to. So when he goes to get that, look at resin printers. If he wants to make those smaller ones, man, those resin printers, that stuff comes out like glass. But those prints were cool. Run it slow. Tell them to run it on the slowest setting. Put a 0.1 nozzle on that. I got the steel nozzles. Have you ever used those, John?
I haven't. You were mentioning it. You mentioned it last week.
So they're just. I didn't put them on. I was lazy. It was so. My birthday was this week, and so my kids and my wife let me have a fun weekend. So I played Fortnite and did nothing. Yeah, Anthony, tell him to put a smaller nozzle on if he wants more detail.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have to adjust the prints and stuff. But it's just the beginning. You've opened yourself up to a whole bunch of plastic in your house and at least one more printer. I know very few 3D printing people that have only one printer.
Would you go so far as to say that he's taken his first step into a larger world?
Yes.
I knew it was coming. I knew someone was going to say it.
I figured Ken would get it exactly right. I almost
So
had a
get up-
Charlie horse again. I just bent my leg, and I was like, I can't now. Now I'll be like serious pain. I'll have an aneurysm on camera, but
And the
Well,
award for most exaggerated episode goes
Yeah.
to Big Daddy Hinton.
no, the and Ken, did you go to RoboFest when they had RoboFest?
That's where I
With
hung out with
Mando
you and
merch?
Marty and 000 the one time, I thought.
Yeah. Were you there when they had the 3D printer? It was printing candy or chocolate. Were you with me, or was that?
Maybe.
Because there's certain printers now, they sell chocolate on a spool and it will print like chocolate.
hold on. Wait a goddamn minute. Chocolate.
Yeah.
The edible kind.
Yeah. It was printing chocolate candies, like flowers and stuff like that. Now, I don't know. It said it was edible. It didn't say it was good, but yes.
I can picture how it would work. The how is not the problem. It's
Yeah, they were
the
printing
why.
little roses. They were printing little roses.
I feel like that would take just so much time, and it would be far easier to print something in plastic and then make a vacuum form of it. Because something that's small.
Yeah, well, I have food grade silicone to make food molds, but it's not as cool.
I guess. You see, the first 3D printed house was built.
Is that with the cement printer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put the cement printer in the middle of the house, and then it prints it, and then you have to take the printer out. Yeah, that's cool.
I thought that was awesome. It's a very interesting looking house, though.
Yeah, well, housing. See, that's the American version of a house, and most of the world's version of housing is way different. Like I think for that's one of those things that could solve housing problems. That's also one of those things that would probably never be legal in the United States.
That's a good point.
Because like where I live, if you're rich, you can build a tiny home. If you're poor, they'll keep your trailers out of the borough. You know what I mean? So it's,
What is FBSW?
Forces behind Star Wars.
Hey, well, I will give you any files. We're up to, just because of me not knowing how Anchor works, we're up to almost 100 episodes.
When are we gonna submit to be considered press, so we can get on the list of some of these other shows and get invited to roundtable interviews and get pre-releases of?
You have to go to the address. Lucasfilm has an address. Hang on, I'll give you the address. I'll give you the email address.
Hold on,
I gotta look up my contact info here.
Oh, great! We just lost the youngster.
No, you didn't. I'm still here. I just
He fell out of his chair.
Ken, I spied something in your background that I looked eerily familiar. Something small, and not like one of the pop figures, but we both have the Grogu phone holder. I saw the little hands going across, and I'm like, wait a minute,
and it's
that looks
still
familiar.
in the package.
Yep,
Yeah,
me too.
Still...
I don't know why that just caught my eye, but I'm like, wait a minute, that looks horribly familiar.
Yeah, we should play the match game every week to see which of us have the same thing in their collection at the same time.
Hold on. If we're doing that. Ugh. How about this one?
I don't think I have it out. Yeah, I think we have that one.
Okay, here we go. Here's who you want to email. Public
hang on.
relations at lucasfilm.com.
Did you just make that up?
No.
That seems too easy. Public relations.
Yeah.
I've already emailed them, apparently.
That's one of their people. And then, you gotta learn to use hashtags. And again, some of these podcasts have been around, but also it's your numbers. And they shied away from podcasters when they had that big debacle, and they pulled all the podcasters off the website too. And some of those people survived from that big purge of podcasters just because of a few jackasses that they were just like, you know what, we're not going to deal with this nonsense.
So okay, let me ask this then. What you just email them and be like, hey, I'm a part of this network.
Here's my podcast. Here's my feed. Here's what I do. And it could mean that you send it all the time, like you just, and like when I got, it was easier for a lot of times when I got Zoe's because there was a third as many podcasters. Like seriously, pre-COVID, when COVID hit, podcasting exploded. And it's just who gets in, and you start following all those people on social media, and you just gotta populate your stuff, and you just act like you know it. So I mean, it doesn't, it's weird who gets picked up and who. There's no rhyme or reason. Like Father and Son Galaxy, man, they've gone gangbusters, but they put a lot of time in. I mean, and Kerwin's wife is a PR person. Like that's what she does for a living. So she has, but if you want to hire a PR person, I would recommend hiring her because, but
Bless you.
That wasn't a sneeze. I'm sorry. Oh. I'm laughing at a picture my mother sent me.
So it just depends on what you want to do with it. I mean, the other thing is, as much as I joke around about badgering for Zoe, I still never made it less fun for either of us, hopefully. Like I hope that, Zoe maybe has a different, if either of you ever interview her, she may have a different take on it, but I hope I never made it that it was any undue pressure. Like I think at certain points in your life, you have to do things that aren't necessarily what you feel like doing. But I hope I never took away any of the fun by putting pressure, on her, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Am I missing something? What do we mean?
Yeah, John's got an inside joke.
Oh, okay. John's falling apart. So
I'm sorry. Sorry.
John's getting. Oh, so okay. So here, let's think of while we're laughing. Let's talk about podcasts, and we'll close off with podcasts we're listening to and what we're going to do with this in the future. So those that are listening, there's 3 watching. We're really going to try to tighten this up. Like we've gone almost 2 hours tonight, which is still pretty short for us. Like that's. I mean, but we're going to try to tighten this up and have more categories and have a structured show. And I think we're doing better. Do you think, Ken?
Better.
I mean, the bar was pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely doing a much better job of not stretching it out. To your point, stretching it out for the 3 and 4 hours that we used to do it.
At least on air.
Yeah.
That's the key word there.
So, like listening to podcast wise, I still highly recommend both of you guys' podcasts. The Beskar Bucket, Forces Behind Star Wars, The Rambling Star Wars Fan. I highly recommend those. Almost as highly as I recommend Star Wars Geek Girl, but I told you guys that anyway. No, Star Wars Geek Girl is my daughter's podcast, So all those podcasts I would highly recommend. And the Dad Batch is probably becoming one of my favorite new podcasts. And I think theirs is comforting in the sense of their structure, which makes me want ours to become more structured. Does that make sense, Ken?
Yeah,
it's almost like a comfort level of like it's like when I'm driving, I know if I'm late for work on basically which segment they're on. If I start it when I'm going to work.
And we could have that. I think it takes a little bit of organization that we haven't done yet.
Right.
I mean,
right.
we've danced around it a little
We're
bit,
getting better.
like a chicken strip, but
Yeah.
God damn.
But I think honestly, I hope anyone. There's 4 people watching this, so I'm excited about. I hope whatever Star Wars podcast you listen to, that you go into especially iTunes, but even not in iTunes, but please rate it. Like give it a 5-star, and give it some feedback, because that helps the podcasters more than anything. Like that's what's put you on the map. And not that we do it to be put on the map. I mean, I just pretend more listening than are. But that's just
speaking of which, the episode that I'm doing for the podcast day on February 7th is going to be a list of my 40 favorite things from Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
So 40. If it 40 celebrate the 40th anniversary of that incredible movie. So if you guys want to have one of your favorite things shared on my episode, make sure you let me know what it is, and I'll read it out loud over my show during my show.
Now, is your picture for the show going to be you 40 years ago?
Maybe. I don't know if I have a picture of me 6 years old, but we'll see. I have a picture of a birthday cake from 1983.
Okay. Yeah, the days back then when like 12 photos lasted all year. Like we gotta get, it's December. Take the film into the little photo mat in the parking lot. Hopefully they all came out. Hopefully your first day at school came out 6 months ago when we take the picture.
I can't even count the number of times I heard that. Oh, we wasted the picture. You wasted a picture on that one.
My first movie I made it the first couple minutes, I left the lens cap on, so I know exactly. Oops. On the 8mm. On my Pennsylvania Greg Indiana Jones spoof movie. We should have a viewing of that someday.
Do you still have it?
Yes, I have it. It's on Super 8. I think I might have it transferred onto digital somewhere. I just have to look for it.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm not in it. I just directed it. We just threw a dummy off a cliff. He slipped on a banana peel and fell off the cliff. Because Super 8mm, you got 5 minutes of film for 1983, 1984. It was $10 in that money for one cartridge of film. Yikes. And then it was another $15 to get it developed. So
wow,
yikes! The pre-VHS days, and it was no sound. So you had to Foley it on a cassette tape.
Insert your own Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the first out of my 5-minute movie, the first I think a minute is with the lens cap on, because the lens cap didn't cover the viewer. And I was all happy they saved all this money. We went up to a quarry to film a movie, had this scene. And then we get done. He's like, "Hey, I think your lens cap's on." I'm like, "Ah." So.
For those of you that are wondering, $35 in 1983 is worth $104 in today's money.
There you go. So, and but yeah, that's. I mean, I'll have to think of something. I'm trying to think of what hooked me to Jedi. And I know what it is. I know my favorite part of that is the biker scouts. Like that, just that race through the woods,
Yeah, I'll have to go back and skim through it because I mean, I love Jedi so much. It's going to be hard to pick out something in particular.
Well,
I was
if you want to share a couple, you can.
I was just so angry at the first part of the movie until Han was free. I was still holding a grudge for Lando as a little kid me. Like seriously, I wouldn't play with Lando toys or anything. Because he took his stuff. He took his dog and his car and
his clothes.
His clothes.
Yeah, that was before you knew that Han took that from Lando.
Yeah. Yeah, the Falcon.
Yeah.
I often wonder with the Falcon if it ever got cleaned out. Because like Han was pulling all that stuff for Finn, he's giving him blasters and stuff. In the crevices there was like old McDonald's wrappers. Because I don't think Han really took care. Like, there was some Ronto wraps stuck between the seat cushions and stuff.
Mike, it's funny you say you wouldn't play with the Lando toys. That seems to be a trend continuing in today. If you go into any Star Wars aisle, it's all Lando.
Yeah. See, I like Lando. Lando's one of my favorite characters now, especially with the new Han Solo movie. But as a kid, I seriously, it devastated me when Han that really, because I'm sure movies did it before, but for me, you never saw, because I was used to watching television, a main character was always insulated. Like nothing ever happened to a main character on a TV show. The TV shows usually ended up like the $6 million man was going to make it through the show. The dudes on the Planet of the Apes television show were going to make it through the show.
Right.
And Han Solo did not.
Yeah, then you should probably write a strongly worded letter to George.
Yeah. Well, it's because George had only made one other Star Wars movie before that. I wouldn't you like to apply the same logic to the haters? Like if we knew all the information about New Hope being filmed, which Ken, I know if you would put that in the timeline of what we have today, like picture that, like this is 2023, a picture if this is 1973 and you start hearing these rumors of George Lucas's, if this had the same internet, you would start hearing rumors of George Lucas.
Oh goodness, yeah. And there would be so much more dirt, because the way that the world is now, I mean, they had when they were filming The Force Awakens, they had, long shot photographs of some of the set pieces and stuff. See you later. Thanks for joining us tonight, buddy. So they had, photographers from far away taking pictures, or people sneaking pictures out of the set and everything. And it is interesting that, yes, shortly after the movies, they had some of the behind the scenes stuff, but that stuff was
curated.
It was curated. It was purified. It was safe for release. That's not the case now.
Right.
And we don't have the benefit yet of time. I imagine in 15 or 20 years from now, we'll get some more of the nitty gritty stuff that happened when they were making The Force Awakens, when they were making The Last Jedi and so on. But I think out of kindness and respect for the makers, they're not sharing that now. And even if we think to the, you mentioned Solo, that movie was not easily made.
Right.
They had reshoots and they got rid of, people along the way, and out of kindness and respect for the makers, they're not opening up the dirt on them, and they themselves aren't sharing it. And I don't know if it's because of NDAs or whatever it is, but they're I think they're more respectful of it and the property and the material than they are willing to spill the beans on all the behind the scenes nonsense.
Well, and I also wonder if most movies have behind the scenes nonsense. Like I like I said with George Lucas, if you think of New Hope, none of the radio controlled R2s worked. Like imagine nowadays if they were like, oh, the main, guy's not working.
How about George Lucas coming back from Tunisia and the crew, or was maybe back from England, the crew had spent $1 million and they only had a handful of shots.
Yeah.
Granted, they had to build the equipment, they had to build the rigs, they had to build the cameras, they had to build the computer to do what George wanted them to do, and they still spent $1 million in 1976.
Yeah.
And didn't have all the stuff done that George had expected them to have done. So much so that George said, "You know what, John? I appreciate what you've done. I'm not gonna not going to bring you with me for the rest of the movies I have in mind for this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's just I think we know too much, which is kind of cool in a way. But if you look out of context, because I don't know how to make movies, I really don't. I'd like to think I know more than most, but I probably know very little. You know, and these people that critique it, and then like you were saying, where they want to keep it, I think also Lucasfilm is doing the smart thing, and they're not trashing all these people that have gone through, because that would keep people from wanting to be a director.
Yeah.
Like if things don't go right and you make a big, like I think DC's having that problem right now, where they weren't backing up any of their. Well, who wants to go work for a company like that? You know. No.
And I mean, do those things the steps necessary to make the movie? Do those things add to the enjoyment of the movie? Do they take away from the enjoyment of the movie, or can we just allow both things to be separate? You've got the movie, and then you have the makings of it, the behind the scenes stuff, and still appreciate both of them for what they are.
Right. Well, and one of your, I forget who on your show, they don't like to know the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, Steve, he likes the movie. He doesn't necessarily need to know that, this scene took 4 hours to make and they needed to do it over the course of 3 days. And
with Star Wars, I like to know the behind the scenes, but I'm that way with Marvel. Like, I don't care. Like, I just want to see the Marvel movie. Like, and so maybe it's just different for different folks. But anyway, we were talking podcasts, and so that's why people should listen. No, but that's why they should listen to your podcast, Ken, both of them, because of just all that knowledge you have. And John has the interviewing skills of an expert,
a Barbara Walters, if you will.
Yeah, he's like the Barbara Walters of, if he was, of podcasting. But I do think podcasting in general, we all, myself included, we have to reach out and try to get on other podcasts and get other podcasts on us, because that in essence is the basis of podcasts. So because that's how when I first started listening to podcasts, that's how I found Steele. I was listening to, I forget what podcast, because I always listen to Sal's stuff, and then Steele was a guest. I was like, oh, he has a podcast, and then it grew out from there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it would be fun for the Rad Batch to meet the Bad Batch, or the Dad Batch.
What do you mean? Going on each other's shows isn't good enough?
Well, we gotta, we have
to broaden
little
our
circle here.
Well, I'm telling you, I still think John should go for the 501st cast.
I may or may not send an email tonight.
Yeah, that is. I'm trying to think of her name. Nikki. Oh, Nikki something. She does the Jawa. She's out of New York. She's the one I think's been on it the longest.
Gotcha.
And they just seem like nice people. They do a relatively scripted show. I mean, but I know they lost one. Now I don't know. Maybe they have another person on. But like I said, what's it hurt to ask?
Right.
I know if I ever do another podcast of any regular time, I want to do one where I have to do nothing but show up and talk. That's what I want.
I mean, you can record everything in Anchor.
Just here's what we're going to talk about. You sit down, shut up, talk, and because the teacher in me always wants to be in control, and I don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Well, I think tonight's been another fun one. I appreciate you guys getting together on a Wednesday again.
Yeah. Oh, here I got to get our.
Cue our music to get us out of here.
Music. We have to exit out with some good old fashioned solo here.
We'll have to choreograph some dance moves at some point so that when our music starts,
we just have to play the game and record us playing the game. Actually, I think Zoe has footage of me playing this game somewhere, which I don't know if I ever want that to come to the light of day. But
didn't the Xbox record all your moves?
Huh? She was recording it on the phone while I was playing.
Oh, even more fun.
There we go. Where's our picture? Oh, I gotta turn this on. There we are.
Well, you look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
So thank you for that one person that's still listening. And
we never heard from Ark tonight.
no, we didn't hear from. A couple of people we didn't hear from. I gotta add your new logo.
Yeah, I'm feeling good tonight. Finally feeling free and it feels so right. Oh,
We got to change the timing of that one.
Huh?
Because it says from the John Scalise and then Beskar Bucket.
Yeah, I gotta work on that. But yeah.
I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah. Trying to get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes.
I just realized what that line was. I'm so glad the pain is gone.
So, thank you, everyone.